If you ever thought your keybinds were bad, you clearly haven't heard of Scroll, who qualified for globals in 2024 using his literal scroll wheel to switch between his builds. I don't even know how he did this, but it didn't stop him from becoming a pro on the hardest region in the world. Midway through 2025 though, he switched to more traditional keybinds, and we really should have seen his meteoric rise coming once he switched to actual binds since he qualified to globals with scroll wheel to build. How? Since the end of last year, he's won the first Div Cup on EU, the Unreal Cup, and qualified for the EWC LAN with Sky. And he's also won the Solo Series Finals and the K-Pop Demon Hunters Cup. But what exactly makes Scroll so good? In this first fight here, Scroll shows his incredible pressure when W-king, as I think he uses his pickaxe better than any player I have analyzed so far. To start the fight, he wingsuits in, double ramps at the opponent and goes for piece control from above but doesn't get it. What he does now is takes the cone near the opponent, hits the floor, starts to go left to misdirect the opponent, and takes the floor by hitting the critical spot. While this instance doesn't create an opening, it is the core strategy of Scroll's pressure. He pickaxes a build and then instantly moves to misdirect the opponent and either looks to play a new angle or go back when the opponent's attention has been shifted while moving quickly as to not leave himself open. Notice here, he pickaxes this wall, moves to the side and takes doubles, then pickaxes the wall and holds a right hand from this tight angle in one fluid motion. Scroll then hits the wall here and the opponent makes a really wide edit from a far box, where he makes a clever play here to edit his cone up to block any shots to make it to the opponent's wall, where he jump pickaxes so that he's tough to hit before taking all of the doubles around the opponent. Scroll now has tons of piece control around the opponent, really limiting the opponent's options, and he stands on the edited wall here to spray at the opponent while he looks for an escape. Scroll goes up to chase the opponent, and he goes to piece him, but he realizes the opponent is waiting there to pre-fire him, so instead of opening himself, he literally stops on a dime, Matrix style, to dodge the shot, and edits the wall to tag the opponent. He goes for a double behind the opponent as he knows the opponent wants to run this direction and narrowly misses out before going for the double pickaxe in, a strategy he uses a ton, and then holding this really tight angle on the opponent he likes to do where he hugs the wall to hit the max pre-fire to win the fight. Scroll is able to set up this really nice pre-fire as he has conditioned the opponent throughout the fight that he wasn't going to pre-fire, as almost all of his pressure had been hitting walls with his pickaxe while moving. To start this next fight, he takes this angle that I mentioned that he really likes to play. By doing this, he's able to pressure the opponent's side wall while making it so the opponent would have to swing all the way left to hit him with a bad peek, and Scroll has a really strong angle as seen in the last fight. He then goes down and looks for the drop down piece and starts pressuring from below and hitting floors instead of going back up to hit a wall. This is another interesting quirk of Scroll's game. He loves to pressure from below. He takes this wall here while barely being visible to the opponent when he jumps and sprints left to fake out where he's going. The opponent was ready for this and does hit a small tag, but if Scroll wasn't pickaxing, this is an easy shot for him. He goes to heal and gets pressured by another player. He's able to take the front and side walls here, and the opponent tries to block Scroll by editing his cone up, and Scroll is able to take the stair before trading with the opponent. Crucially though, he takes the stair in front of him, blocking the opponent's exit, then edits the stair up here and ADSs to hit a hard pump on the opponent while the opponent had a really bad angle on him, barely tagging him. Scroll then edits the wall open during the opponent's pump delay, swings hard to the left for his favorite angle, and easily reacts to shoot the opponent when he appears on his screen. In this next example, Scroll gets a kill in the mid game and uses the fizz to heal up. He approaches another opponent with this stair cone setup and again gets into his favorite pickaxing position. He takes the wall but realized the opponent was going out the back. He also realizes that he still has the fizz effect, so he jumps up to pump the opponent by surprise. He then places double edits on the wall in the opposite direction the opponent was going, which is almost always a good play, as when you get pumped, you often look to box in the other way you are facing. The opponent gets out and boxes up, and Scroll tries to double pickaxe into the box here instead of taking the wall. He doesn't get it here and again tries to, but realizes the opponent had already moved out of the box and blocked his back with a stair, so Scroll relocates again. The opponent makes a very bizarre play here that Scroll didn't see coming, where he jumps past him, and knowing the opponent is running low on options again, he goes and takes his favorite angle here by hugging the wall and breaking it, and instantly firing for a 50-50 trade, knowing that even if he trades, he wins the fight due to the health advantage. As I mentioned earlier, Scroll loves to drop down piece and pressure from below. Scroll starts this fight with 2 tags and ramps towards the opponent. The opponent cranks for height and Scroll follows and is able to sneak a cone in where the opponent is ramping to set up for a really nice peek here. He hits the wall and notices the opponent went down, so instead of going to the opponent's level, he goes one below him to look for the drop down. Most players really only drop down like this to try and predict the opponent, but Scroll likes to pressure from this angle. To end the fight quickly, he double pickaxes and jumps through the floor and pumps the opponent. Again, notice how he doesn't try to take the floor then edit, as this would be too slow, and simply double pickaxing in before the opponent can react is the fastest way to go about this. Here is another example of Scroll understanding his character's position and redirecting the opponent's attention. He pushes toward the opponent and triple edits up and tries to push him. He goes for doubles and drops down, but realizes too late that the opponent had taken the wall in front of him, but he's able to adjust instantly and turns to place a backward stair to block the opponent's shot. The opponent does pump the stair out though, since it was low health when he flipped the ramp, putting Scroll in a weird position. Since he didn't have the cone here, he just walks backwards with his gun out, holding the angle to react and outtrade the opponent. He then instantly elevates instead of going to the opponent's front wall to safely reposition and looks for piece control on the opponent. He drops down and hits the wall once, and then blocks any shot for the opponent with the floor when they open. He then starts pickaxing the opponent's cone to break back in, realizing that the opponent had to open their wall to place this cone, meaning that the wall was going to be one hit. He's then able to drop down and take the wall with one swing, shoot the opponent and take the ramp and sidewall, open the stair, swing left, and make a nice right hand peek behind the wall here to easily finish the fight. In this fight, Scroll uses his positioning to corner the opponent and to cut off his options. To start the fight, he wingsuits in and looks for doubles on the opponent. He takes the cone and pickaxes the floor, but notices the opponent's front wall was recently edited, allowing him to quickly drop down and take it and cone slide before the opponent was ready, setting up for this nice peanut butter peek. The opponent goes down and Scroll aggressively follows, where he hits this insane door peek shot on the opponent to get him down to 1 HP. The opponent runs to the other side of the building, where Scroll just stands there with his gun out from his favorite angle before relocating to the top to try and pickaxe in. Now, he knows with how low the opponent is that he's going to retreat into the building and try and use that to his advantage, since all the building pieces have around 450 to 600 HP. Scroll keeps cutting off these options though by breaking in many different places, and he knows the opponent has to run through here and just sits with his gun out but narrowly misses through the window. He continues to prod the opponent from different angles, taking piece after piece to cut off more options, until eventually, the opponent doesn't realize that Scroll has this brick wall here when he's pushed into a corner, allowing Scroll to easily take the cone and finish the fight. Here is another example of Scroll's ridiculously good use of his pickaxe to win fights. Here, Scroll pushes this player, and notice how he builds over the cone here. He notices the opponent place a wall on the side of his box, which means the opponent is likely going to be sitting on the cone looking for a jump peek when Scroll shows up, but Scroll notices this and blocks off the angle. He starts to pressure the opponent's tops by doing this really nice slide jump double pickaxe to relocate and take the cone without leaving himself vulnerable since he's moving so fast. He hits the wall and goes up and takes the other cone, before realizing the opponent moved and goes for drop down piece. Look at the sequence where he hits a wall, moves, hits the cone, drops down, stares at the wall looking for a pre-fire, sprints right to avoid any play from the opponent, remembers the front wall that he previously weakened and one-shots it and pumps the opponent. He pressured from 3 different angles, one of them twice in about 5 seconds. He's able to get in on the opponent by double pickaxing in and taking the cone to win the fight. Here's one more example of Scroll pressuring from so many different angles so the opponent doesn't have time to breathe. He wingsuits in and notices the opponent doesn't have a floor under his cone, so he takes the floor on the cone and looks for a quick shot, but the opponent backs off. The opponent drops down and Scroll follows, making sure to take a lot of pieces on the non-mountain side of the opponent here. Scroll knows building into the mountain is either impossible or really awkward if the opponent is playing defensively, so he makes sure to cut off angles on the side opposite to the mountain, as that would likely be where the opponent would try and escape. Again, he looks to pickaxe and then sprint, and does the jump double pickaxe strat to take the cone here. He goes back and takes the cone that he'd previously weakened, and hears the opponent get cracked from another angle. An important thing to mention is that Scroll also did a really good job of covering himself when pressuring by building all of these boxes, as this is in the 6th zone where he's pushing this player. He continues to take more pieces, cutting off more options in the even more limited space with the storm, and notice how he places all of these metal walls before pressuring to cover for third parties. The opponent is able to get out towards zone, but Scroll stays on him and now has the opponent between any third partiers, where he does this really nice setup I've seen Shark do before in fights. He pumps and pickaxes the wall here, and jumps up to place a floor before instantly jumping up, then opening the floor to take the front wall since the opponent didn't expect this, where he pumps the opponent hard. Scroll is able to finish the fight by simply double pickaxing in and pumping the opponent who had started to get spread in the back, which Scroll accounted for by staying on this side of him. This fight is another example of Scroll's amazing build awareness, as he always knows what's his and what's the opponent's. He wingsuits in here and builds up, where he goes for doubles on the opponent here. The opponent goes for a jump shot, but Scroll blocks it, and builds up. We have all been in this position here, where we have the triple edit lined up, but think how many times you have died or taken damage here by just triple editing and opening up to go for the clip. So instead of doing this, Scroll just goes up and looks to pressure the opponent's wall since he's being shot in the back, where he takes the wall and makes a really quick edit for a nice shotgun tag. The opponent relocates and Scroll follows, and he notices the floor here is his that the opponent is under, allowing him to easily finish the fight. Here's one last example of Skrull's build awareness. This fight starts with him getting tagged and counter spraying. He then goes for the counter peek with the cone and floor I was talking about earlier on a pushing opponent with no luck and boxes up. The opponent goes for a sidewall, and he doesn't even try to hold it, instead instantly expands so he's not at risk of getting tagged. The opponent relocates and Skrull goes for a really interesting counter peek. In this situation, many players would just look to open, but Skrull leaps out to the right of the opponent and goes for a shot, and the opponent isn't ready to pre-fire since he didn't expect Skrull to end up over here. Skrull misses and predicts the opponent's side jump with some really nice piece, and the opponent narrowly escapes. Skrull continues to stay up and cover himself, trying to force the opponent to make a play that he can punish. He accidentally falls further than he wants here, and the opponent almost pieces him after side jumping, and Skrull recognizes the opponent took the wall and flips his ramp and goes out the back. He gets a nice read on the opponent that he would pickaxe here, as this identical situation happened at the start of the fight, where the opponent dropped down to their right and pickaxes the wall, so Skrull is ready for this and gets an easy pump. The opponent also gets shot in the back here, and Skrull tries to get in but isn't able to, and realizes that the opponent is able to fizz back up to full shield, so he pushes more safely, knowing a trade wouldn't for sure win the fight. He takes the cone and floor, backing the opponent into the other box, and goes for a drop down pre-fire that also breaks the wall, covering multiple options before placing a stair to protect himself. The opponent went into the next box, and I didn't even notice this when I was first watching it, but somehow Skrull has taken both the floor and cone above the opponent here. He remembers this and is able to finish the fight by double editing. Lastly, I want to show you guys something from one of the end games in this tournament. Skrull gets his 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 19th kills by spraying them out of the air with the Flex SMG. There are 3 takeaways from this. 1. Carry the Flex SMG right now. It does so much damage after getting buffed and has really good bloom. 2. Train your aim and look back for wingsuiters in late mid-game zones this season for free picks. And 3. Skrull's aim is absolutely insane. It's also worth noting that I showed 10 example fights in this video, and he got 8 kills just by doing this in the late mid-game, so do with that information what you will. Skrull has been insane lately, and him and Sky are looking like one of the 2 best teams on EU right now. If you enjoyed the video, drop a sub, and if you're interested in the other current best team on EU, check out this video on how Shark and Teeny won the first EWC qualifier.